This video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Hey guys, Big Paul here. Today, I wanted to talk about lifting like a bodybuilder. Most people have no clue how to lift like a bodybuilder. They're just in the gym, winging it. They say they want to be a bodybuilder, but they don't lift like one. We're going to dig into it in just 1 second. Okay, I've talked about this in some of my other videos before, and it is training specificity. And this goes for anything. If you want to be great at something, you have to specialize in it. And that's not to say you can't be a person who enjoys many different things. You're just never going to accomplish the top level of something unless you specifically focus on it. So, and people say they want to be a bodybuilder, but then they don't specifically focus on being a bodybuilder, which is fine if you're a hobbyist. But I get guys come to me all the time and say, hey, I think I got potential to be a pro. And then I talk to them about what it takes to be a pro. Not that I'm a pro myself, but, I've observed and watched people and I've been successful in other areas of my life. And people that do really well at anything specialize in that. I was originally a music major in college, and I would see it with musicians all the time, that musicians who were great would pick one instrument and just focus on that instrument. So think about it in this way. Let's say you wanted to be a quarterback, and you wanted to make it to the NFL as a quarterback. If you spent half your time training for soccer, and not for being a quarterback, or even if you were learning multiple positions on the football team, how good of a quarterback do you think you could be? Probably not the best. The guys that are the best are the ones that focus all their attention 100% all the time on one specific area or skill set. That's how you get to be great at something. So how does this apply to bodybuilding? So I see dudes all the time training in the gym, and they talk about wanting to be a bodybuilder, but they train like powerlifters, or they're kind of like CrossFit and powerlifting and bodybuilding, and they're not specifically focused on a bodybuilding style of training. I see dudes get wrapped up in their egos all the time, where they want to heave weight around and they don't train like a bodybuilder. And we have to think about what it means to train like a bodybuilder. And this is where I think a lot of people get themselves twisted up in knots and they fuck up training, especially young guys. I see it happen a lot with young guys. Our primary goal in bodybuilding, in physique sports, as an athlete in those areas, in our training, where our training should be focused on, is hypertrophy, to increase muscle size. And once you get to a certain size, then it's refining what muscles you have and completing your aesthetics and filling in weak areas and things like that. So, but our primary goal is to build muscle. Now, building muscle and building strength, or building muscle and building athleticism, are very, very, very different modes of training. So you think about it, like you look at the powerlifters, and if you have any good powerlifters in your gym, there are a lot of powerlifters that aren't that big that are really fucking strong. I see dudes pulling, 7 plates at my gym all the time that aren't that big. And I'm not taking anything away from them, but in powerlifting, our goal as a powerlifter, if you're going to be a powerlifter, is to move the weight from point A to point B as efficiently as possible, with the least amount of effort as possible, with the best technique possible to get that weight from point A to point B. That doesn't matter in bodybuilding. Getting the weight from point A to point B as efficiently as possible and putting the most weight on the bar doesn't matter in bodybuilding. Nobody's asking when you're on the stage what your total is. I hear dudes talking about that. Well, I was still benching 400 pounds the week of my contest, even though I lost. And I'm like, well, did the judge put that 400-pound bench press on your on your scorecards? Nobody cares how much you lift it when you get on stage. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Our goal in bodybuilding for weight training is to stimulate that muscle to grow. It's to overload that muscle and to cause it to adapt. And a lot of guys lose sight of this. They get focused, and I think some of this comes from the whole progressive overload focus that came from the 90s and early 2000s, where guys were just trying to put more and more and more weight on the bar and get stronger and stronger and stronger. And I'm not disputing that there is some correlation between strength and size, but it's not necessarily what you think it is. You can get, like I said earlier, you can get more efficient at moving a weight from point A to point B, but you don't actually stimulate any growth. So with bodybuilding, a lot of times we actually want to make the movement more difficult. We want to put more load on the muscle and make that movement harder, causing a greater stimulus and thus an adaptation, which leads to hypertrophy. This is a very, very, very different thing than powerlifting or even training for a sport. Guys get hung up too on that you have to bench, squat, deadlift if you want to be a bodybuilder. No, you don't. They're required for powerlifting. They're not required for bodybuilding. They may be the best exercise for you, but when you're choosing exercises, you want to choose the exercise that stimulates the muscle growth in the target muscle in the most efficient way possible. So I thought about this myself. I spent many years doing squats and heavy squats, and my legs didn't grow that much. And I took a step back and I thought about it, and I'm like, I don't really feel squats in my legs. I feel them in my back. I feel them in my ass. I feel them in my hamstrings a little bit, but I don't feel them in my quads at all. I feel hack squats in my quads. I feel deep leg presses in my quads. So when I began to focus on those and getting a better contraction, I felt those things more, and my legs started to grow. So circling this back around, we need to put our ego aside when we're training for bodybuilding, and I think that's what makes bodybuilding so difficult for a lot of young guys. They want to go in the gym, they want to put up as much weight as possible and impress their friends. I love it when somebody asks me how much I bench press. I get guys that come up to me, that don't even lift. I'll be in the grocery store or whatever, and I'm like, hey bro, how much do you bench press? And the stunned looks they get on their face when I say, I have no idea. I don't know when the last time my bench press was. I don't even remember. And they give me this puzzled look, and they were like, well, how do you get that big? I'm like, because I lift like a bodybuilder, not a power lifter. I'm not a power lifter. It's a different style of training. So if you want to be the best bodybuilder that you can possibly be, you need to focus your training on bodybuilding style training, stimulating the muscle to grow, stimulating muscle protein synthesis, feeling the muscle, getting the most out of the muscle. And a lot of times that means using less weight and less efficient movements as far as moving things from point A to point B as far as strength is concerned. For coaching or consultations, head over to www.anabolicbodybuilding.com to book your spot today. I can help you with optimizing hormones, fat loss, muscle gain, physique, athletic performance, nutrition, and health. For more information, shoot me an email at bigp3rd@gmail.com.